400th Premier League match for Steve Bruce as a manager, his first win against Manchester United. What a result for Steve Bruce tonight, Shola.
Gosh, I mean, it's well deserved as well. We've just been saying, you know, sometimes when you play the likes of Manchester United, you get your win. You know, you ride your luck, but I thought during the whole game, you know, I thought actually, you know, we played it perfectly.
Yes.
We let Manchester come on to us, and, you know, you look at the goal. I was delighted for Matty Longstaff, who I thought put a shift in, as did all the rest of the boys. But, you know, it was a classic case of sucking Manchester in and hitting them on the break. And I think Steve can be really proud of his players. You know, the turnaround in attitude, the turnaround in application from last week, you know, it's a stark difference, and, you know, he'd be delighted with 3 points.
He definitely responded to last week very well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a sign of an experienced manager. But I think, like Shola said, the game plan was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle knew that the longer the game went on, the more desperate United would get, the more expansive they would get. And it was no surprise that, you know, Newcastle took the lead from a counter-attack, and there was no luck involved. I think they thoroughly deserved the 3 points, and, you know, it's another setback for Manchester United.
Another setback for Manchester United. How much pressure is Ole under right now? Because of the fact that you can't win against a struggling Newcastle United side. They are 2 points above the relegation zone at the minute.
Yeah, I think obviously the pressure will mount, there's no doubt about it. I think there's always pressure when you're manager of Manchester United. He's had to foresee a lot of changes, he's brought players in, there's a lot of players have gone out, and the one issue that I have, you hear people talking about, you know, how long does Solskjaer have and what have you. I think you have to stand by him, because what you're going to do, if he goes, you bring another manager in who will want more new players, and at some point you've got to have a point of stability and understand that it's not just a rebuild, it's a massive rebuild within the club now.
Funny you should say that, because a fan did actually drop us a message on that. This is from Kevin Tay. He says, how much more time should the board be giving Ole's? And since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson, is it the coach, is it the players, or is it the board that's to blame?
I think it's a collective, because, you know, everybody talks about, you know, people have said about Solskjaer that, you know, he's not ready to take on a club like Manchester United. Have you forgotten about the 2 previous managers? They had Mourinho and Van Gaal, that arguably 2 of the best managers in the world at some point in their managerial career, and managed huge clubs, and that didn't work. But what you've got now, if you keep chopping and changing, you have different groups of players who are suited to different managers. So at some point you've just got to say, right, this is how it is. You know, we've got to see it out and then try and build again.
I think I definitely agree with you. I think if you look at the managers they've had since Sir Alex left, I think that has been a big part of why Manchester United have struggled. The different managers coming in and out. You know, it sets a club back, because a manager will want to bring in his own players. He's going to want to do his own style, and as players, it's very difficult, especially in the Premier League, to be doing that season to season. So it's really important that they stick by him. And like I said, it is a transitional period for them, and they're going to have the growing pains. Sure. And this is definitely what they're having right now.
Now, you were saying it's a collective problem, but there's one constant ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left, the one who's been there, passed through all these managers, all these players coming in and out, all the drama on and off the pitch. Ashley Young, Ed Woodward, and I don't think Ashley Young has that much power over the club, but Ed Woodward has been there. It was his responsibility to oversee the transition, to oversee that Manchester United do stick to what they are and their identity as well.
I think the big problem is, with Sir Alex Ferguson being there, you know, for so long, one of the greatest managers that I've ever seen, is that, and I witnessed it when I was at the club as a younger player, is that from the first team all the way down to the School of Excellence, under 11s, under 12s, Sir Alex Ferguson knew every single coach. And when Sir Alex Ferguson left, people forget that David Gill left as well. So obviously that's 2 huge upheavals. They then tried to bring in different managers. I think the recruitment, you know, I think at times it's been difficult, the recruitment, because players have come in and then ended up playing in different positions, not necessarily what they were brought in for. Then a new manager comes in. So if you just keep doing that, then you're not going to get anywhere. And at some point, you have to stick with the manager and say, right, okay, this is a situation we're in. It could get worse before it gets better, but it's something that you've got to allow to try and get some consistency.
I understand that it has to get worse before it gets better, because there's always a honeymoon period. We do expect a drop-off when it comes to a new manager. I think what the fans are shocked about is the dramatic decline in the results ever since after the first few games that Ole took over. It's just the way that it's been being run at the minute. It's a dramatic decline. At what point do you stop saying, okay, give manager time and actually assess Ole Gunnar for his managerial capabilities?
I think what you have to do, you have to look at, obviously there's a lot of players that have left the club. He's trying to integrate younger players. I think when you look at the squads now, you know, Manchester United want to be up there with Liverpool and Manchester City. They are a million miles away. And the one thing that Guardiola and Klopp have done, they've built their own clubs. They've built their teams. Now, I'm not saying, you know, that you're going to get instant success with Solskjaer and things like that. You're not going to. I think this is going to be a number of years where Manchester United are going to be having to play catch up. There's no doubt about it. So what you can do, you can say, right, okay, you rip the book up and you start again, but then you're starting from scratch again. At some point, that has to stop. There's no question about it. It has to stop at some point, as in terms of just bringing new managers in who has new ideas, then getting players who you see as quick fixes. I go back to what happened in the summer. You can see what Solskjaer's trying to do is in terms of his recruitment, wants to bring younger players in. But like I say, at the moment, they've got a lot of injuries and they're not performing anywhere near their capabilities.
Yeah, for sure. And I touched on it at half-time as well. You know, these players aren't playing at their best. They're not at their peak. They have got good players at Manchester United, but you can have the best players in the world if they're not performing, if they're not playing to their best. It's going to be very difficult. And unfortunately, you've got 5 or 6 of their top players not playing at that level. And like you say, they haven't got the type of squads as like Liverpool, Manchester City have, where you've got players pushing each other to be in the team. And I think unfortunately Manchester United are just in a position where they've got young players coming in, they've got and actually arguably the younger players are the ones who are probably playing the best,
better,
like you mentioned, and that can't be the case at Manchester United. You need your top players, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Maguire, all these players to really drag the team, especially when you're going through a tough patch like this, to really stand up and be counted. And as players, I think you look at the manager, but as players you've got to look at yourself as well and think and say we're not providing the type of football that we know we can provide from week to week.